There have been some problems with the vote. There have been some problems with the campaign. Everyone is well aware of the issues. Some people, there are two sides to the issues. Some people have heard both sides. Some people have only heard one side. We're going to hear the entire story, beginning with Al.
Okay, I want to start off with quoting the Constitution and bylaws. Article 14, voting, Section 2. There shall be no voting by proxy. Okay, I'll do it again. Sorry, it's going to lean back up again. Okay? Voting. I'm going to turn around and talk about what it says in the Constitution and bylaws. Voting, Section 2. There shall be no voting by proxy. Any member in good standing not voting will be considered abstaining. From the bylaws, duties of the officers. The national commander shall enforce the Constitution and the bylaws. That's D. E. Direct and supervise the operation of the organization. Section 4. National Secretary. Prepare and distribute the national ballot. Ensure that only members in good standing vote on organizational business. Annual elections. The national ballot. During the 90 days immediately preceding the annual business meeting and in time to omit at least 30 days for the members to cast and return their ballots in a manner as directed by the National Secretary, who shall convey to each member in good standing a national ballot. The National Secretary shall provide ballots to members in good standing. The National Secretary may authorize base commanders to reproduce the ballot or distribute the copies to members as necessary. Disputes. The National Secretary shall decide any disputes concerning the validity of the ballots cast or counted, or the eligibility of any member voting, provided that the National Secretary is not a candidate for office. Should the National Secretary be a candidate for national office or otherwise be unable to receive disputes, then the immediate past commander or other past national commander appointed by the national commander, if the immediate past national commander is unavailable, shall receive disputes. Now, only in the bylaws, Section 3D1, is there any reference to the base commanders in the voting process. And the key word in that section was the National Secretary may authorize. Okay? In the past, other national secretaries deputized the base commanders to be part of the election process on a per-election basis in their voting instructions. These instructions over time, because members did not read the C and Bs, were mistakenly thought to come from the bylaws as part of the voting process. Because 44 out of 132 base commanders did not turn in tally sheets in the last election, and to truly follow the C and Bs for a secret ballot, I, as National Secretary, went to online voting for this election, after reviewing the process to the board. This online voting process has been reviewed, has been presented over the past 2 years at e-board meetings, base commanders breakfast on the cruise, midterm meetings, the 2:07 a.m., my National Secretary's column, and POCs. The only issue from the base commanders was voting security, and not one base commander has ever told me he felt he could not be trusted in the election process. In fact, most of the base commanders were glad not to have to do the tally sheets anymore. The online voting system was set up so that the individual member could vote on his own, free of outside influence and peer pressure, and secret either by online or paper ballot. The base commanders were completely taken out of the voting process, and everybody knew that. They were not deputized to handle votes or send them in. They sure were not allowed to take votes over the phone, and as this is a proxy vote and the Constitution does not allow that. The voting package with instructions in the ballot was put on the website 62 days before the convention date. That's 2 days before the 60-day deadline. Online voting started on the 30th of June 2006, 62 days before the convention. The American Submariner was sent to the printer before the 30-day deadline and mailed out before the 30-day deadline. Some members were late in getting their American Submariner as this American Submariner was shipped by boat mail. Depending on the post office workload, you may have gotten a late American Submariner, and this was out of our control. Overall, we met our C&D requirements. The election master. Since I was a candidate for re-election, my duties for tallying the votes and resolving the disputes was passed on to the PNC/election master appointed by the national commander. From the bylaws, he is the only one to decide the validity of the ballots during the election process. He can, of course, inform the national secretary, national commander, and the E-board. In the one case of questionable votes, he did just that. The two candidates running for national commander before the voting process started agreed that John Peters was beyond reproach and that they did not have to have someone looking over his shoulders as he entered the paper ballots into the online system. John Peters found that there was a problem in the way one of the bases voted, and that base was asked to revote online or by paper ballot. This decision was a result of the national commander, the E-board, and the election master working as a team. In my opinion, John Peters did an outstanding job as the election master, behind him 100%. The election result. I only know that the C&Bs passed and that both PAs passed, which caused a little bit of a contentious problem. And I needed these results for my duties as national commander, as national secretary. The results of the candidates I do not have, and I will get them later today when they're announced, just like you and I. From the members of the numbers of the base members that have voted, I think the online voting system worked well, and I will be using this system for the next election with a few adjustments. Let me say this: we had 11% voting last time. We're almost 29% this time. That's a hell of an increase. And what we did, and my whole objection, my whole object in this voting process, okay, was to take and put the vote to you, the member, and let you vote without any outside influence. It had nothing to do with anything else. It's your vote, your voice in this organization. I wanted to give it to you the best way possible that I could. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Ed Yoder.
Well, just to reiterate our Constitution, it requires a secure and secret ballot. That means that any paper ballot which has strike-throughs and or additional markings on it will not be counted and is invalid. Any paper or internet ballot which is filled in by someone other than the voting member, whether by phone or in person, is invalid. Although it's all right to have a computer at a base meeting for all those that do not have computers to vote online, there's nothing wrong with that, so long as it's done without anyone overseeing or coaching the voting member who's voting online. And on the basis of what Al has said and what our Constitution requires, our election is final and there will be no re-election.